Hello, everyone, and welcome to Thursday live lesson here at Ukulele on the Ground. My name is Aldrine Guerrero, joined by my two colleagues, Mr. Aaron the Voice Nakamura. Say what's up, Aaron.
What's up?
And Mr. Kahai the Legend Fergan. Say what's up, Kahai.
What's up?
So we are here. Thursday live lesson works like this. You guys ask us questions, we answer them. We might turn it into a lengthy discussion. We might not. Might just take lightning round questions, whatever. But we're just gonna answer as much as we can. We get questions via email, via comments, via messages and stuff. However you guys want to get it to us, we are live too. So if you're watching this live, you can ask us questions live or comment on whatever that we're talking about. But any which way you cut it, it's basically just a Q&A like podcast. If not, we don't get questions, we'll just talk story. Then it becomes a talk story podcast, right? Kahai, we can talk about Nicktoons all day if you guys want to, you know? It goes a Ukulele podcast to a Nicktoons podcast pretty quick.
It's not like we're already doing that before we went live. Yeah,
I know. We should just hit record. We're talking about like the generations of Nicktoons, or like the first gen is like the original three, you know, or like Ren and Stimpy, Rugrats, Doug, and then anything like past Doug before SpongeBob was like Gen 2, and then SpongeBob to Avatar is Gen, it was like Gen 3, and then anything after that is like I don't even know.
I didn't keep up.
Yeah, I didn't keep up past SpongeBob, but
yeah.
All right, see, it could be deviated very quickly to a Nicktoons podcast. Like, people that ask us questions, that's what we're going to talk about. So make sure you ask us questions.
It might actually be more popular if we had a Nicktoons podcast.
I could talk for hours about Nicktoons. Me and Kahai, before this thing just started, like that's all we were talking about. We're just like, oh, this started in whatever, August 11, 1991. Alongside the first, the other two. Blah blah blah. We're talking about how Ren and Stimpy was in like MTV first, and came to Nickelodeon. Man, we should start another podcast, guys. Talk about Nicktoons all day. We can dissect episodes of Doug if you guys want to. Man. Yeah. Anyway, so for the people who are tuned in for the actual ukulele parts of this podcast, Kahai, hit me with the first question, buddy.
Yeah, this is kind of a question. So Wesley kind of. He I forget, like maybe Monday or Tuesday he sent us this, and he said James Hill just published an awesome new tutorial on the BEBEE, AEAE, or AEAE alternate tuning. Do you play alternate tunings? What do you see as the benefits of alternate tunings?
I do play some alternate tunings. Not anything crazy like BEBE. That's kind of crazy, but it's really cool. I mean, I tried it out for myself. I saw the video, tried it out for myself, and I did like some kind of bluesy stuff, like how he was doing, and it works really, really good with that. But the ones that I play around with are like an open A minor, which is all it is just you tune your top string G to an A, so that it's A C E A which is an open A minor chord, and then an open C chord, which is instead of G C E A, it's actually open C chord, G C E G. So I turn my my A string into a G note, which then turns into an open G. Most of these are like slack key, basically. If you want to kind of just play an open chord, so I'll show you open C here. There it is. It's very slacky. And the advantages is that it makes it a lot easier for you to kind of come up with different melody lines, because if you're using a string to do a melody line, then the other strings that you're playing should just be in an open chord, and it makes it easy because now chords, at least in this situation, are just bars. Like if this is an open C, then this is a D. That's an E, F, G, A, B, C, so on and so forth. So you don't have to bother with all these, different kind of chord shapes. You just have this one major chord shape. Let's see if I were to do like a minor. I don't really play minor here, but it'll be kind of like like a major 7 chord shape, will be a minor chord. So it's pretty easy if you're kind of doing it that way. The open A minor or the A minor that I was talking about, let's see, that open A minor, same thing, but just like open chords. Instead of doing like bar chords for the major chords, it'll then be minor. And that's why I can play stuff like, because I know I'm in C the entire time, so I can just use this open G because it's just like basically the same as my top string. I can kind of fool around with it doing this kind of banjo-y technique, and then I can play notes. I can do some pull-offs because it'll just pull me off to the rest of the open C chords. So like, so I'm gonna play a note and then like do an open, and it'll still be in the same key. With that, and I'm hitting this because this is like the F note, and I'm just playing the the C scale. Be different. I'm like thinking of it as a. There it is. I'm thinking C. But yeah, for the most part, it lets you kind of play some open open chords, and it sounds a lot more kind of airy if you're playing stuff with open, as opposed to kind of like playing the chord up here. And then if you change chords, then it kind of stops. It kind of like when we're talking about campanellas, as soon as you change the chord, it'll be kind of it'll be a different chord. But with this, you can kind of play those notes up here while keeping this kind of open chord, C chord. And then to F. So those are the ones that I experiment with, because I fooled around with guitar slack key for like a long time, and that's the stuff that I found. I don't know. What do you guys play with? Drop D?
Yeah, like drop D on guitar, right? Is the classic pop, punk pop like tuning or punk rock tuning. So I think a lot of people who play electric guitar, tune to that. Rock uses that too a lot.
Yeah.
But I think James, like, he kind of talked about it on the video too. Like, the good thing about doing open tunings and like doing open tunings and not learning specific songs for it or anything, just like playing around with it, is like you really do like stop thinking about specific notes, and you kind of just like
sounds good.
yeah, and it lets you like kind of just learn the fretboard again. Like, oh yeah, I'm not, instead of looking for like, okay, I know this note sounds good with this note or something, you're just like looking for spots where it's like, oh yeah, this sounds good in an open chord or whatever. So it kind of like James says, like, it lets you go back to that beginner mindset of like, I don't really know. You can dive deeper into it and then figure out what notes you actually are playing. But then you can also just take it as like, I don't know what notes I'm playing, but I know that when I hold the 7th fret or whatever, it sounds pretty good. Or when I hold the 3rd fret or 2nd fret, it's like, yeah, it kind of makes it more of like what is it, like an open space to just play, instead of like, here are the constrictions and here's the rules you got to think about. So yeah.
Yeah, this is now, that question was like right up Kahai's alley, where he's a fan of alternate tuning even on guitar.
Yeah, like after I watched the video and I kind of saw that, I went back to like some of my favorite like fingerstyle guitars, or like that open like slap guitar and stuff. And like a lot of people know Andy McKee, right, for his song Drifting. But he has like some other great songs that you listen to, and it's like, it's not flashy or anything, but he creates like great melodies from it. And he said, like, I think in like interviews and talks and stuff, that how he picks his tunings is he really just like goes, oh, I really like that chord, and so he tunes his guitar to that chord, or he's like, oh, I think this would sound cool as like an open tuning or whatever, and it's all just like experimentation and playing with it. So you can almost hear that playfulness when they come up with those things, right? You can hear like, oh, it might not actually be easier to play it in this tuning, but they figured it out, and because they're having so much fun playing it in that tuning, it comes through in the music itself too.
Yeah, and you can do a lot more like technique stuff with like the open tunings, and do some, I don't know, some weird like cool voices that you wouldn't, or voicings that you wouldn't normally do, because it would be too far for you to kind of stretch your fingers or whatever. It's pretty cool. Like if you experiment with it, and you can see a lot of possibilities. Like I mean, entire genres were built because of alternate tunings, with like, especially within the tapping community.
Yeah, and I think like some people are afraid of trying alternate tunings because you either have to turn you have to slack your string so much, or you have to tighten it so much. But then the other thing to think about too is that your open tuning is actually like, that's what it is like, it already is like kind of a note and stuff. So if you don't want to completely change your tuning, you can take those same ideas of just like playing around with like picking strings and picking notes and trying out things and seeing what sounds good as like a chord where you're holding down a couple strings but you're leaving the rest open or something, mixing in those open strings. And you can find like cool stuff even with the standard GCEA tuning. So don't be afraid to try that out too.
Yeah, I mean, imagine the first guy who did like GCEA tuning. People are like, oh, minor 7? Why would you tune it that way? And now it's like the standard, like
yeah. I never use minor 7s, but
like ever.
all open is a minor 7. Yeah, why would you do that?
Yeah, right. So it's just experiment with a bunch of different tunings, and just like what Kahai was saying, if you find like a really cool chord, that you like, for example, maybe like a major, like a G major 7. I've always liked G major 7. You could just tune these 3 strings, like a step up, and then keep this G down, and you have an open G major 7 tuning. That was pretty cool. So there's a lot of like really interesting things that you could try out for the ukulele. Just, I don't know. But be mindful of the tension of your strings and the ukulele. You don't want to go too high. Good rule of thumb is not to go higher than maybe a step and a half, 2 steps and stuff. I don't know, depends what strings you're using and how much
or
much
lower,
you handle,
or lower, probably
too loose.
Probably won't sound good.
But... Yeah. So with I think with the one that's not Abe, but James was talking about is that EAEA. So this G would go down a step and a half from a G to an E, and then the C would go down also a step and a half to an A. So it'd be EAEA. He's just kind of doubling up like these two to these two, but it's kind of cool because you then have like a low A, which makes it super duper interesting. It's a really cool and fun open tuning that you can play around with.
I remember taking my electric guitar to school, and it was like it was actually for my calculus class, and the last week of school my calculus teacher told us like, oh, bring something to school that you can teach all of us to do, right? So I brought my electric, and then I tuned it to drop D, and I said like, oh, this tuning is really cool because you just play either open strings or you just put one finger down to play power chords, and you just go like, if you just go, I show them like Smoke in the Water or Iron Man and all those things you can just do with that. And my calculus teacher was like, why isn't that the standard then? Like why not make that like the thing to learn? And I was like, good question. I don't really know. Like I don't know why I don't know why you start off with like a EAD GBE tuning, for guitar. But then like now I know it's like, oh, it's kind of because like it's why there's just intonation, or like there's the way we tune instruments now. It's like somebody just said, okay, everybody, enough of like everybody having their own thing. We gotta make like a standardized thing.
440.
Yeah. We have to make a standardized thing so we can at least understand each other, you know. It's like, yeah, we need a system. So I think that's for all of like these you know, even other instruments. Like you ask, oh, why is a trumpet tuned to B flat and not like C or whatever? It's like, oh, good question. I don't really know. I guess like it's just the thing that they're like, yeah, I guess B flat. Let's just do that. That's it.
I'm guessing it's for range, right? Like it would just be the range of that instrument, so that like if you put in a certain key, like it could, you know, it can fill all these ranges. I'm guessing. I'm not like,
yeah.
This is not like it's because of this. Like I'm guessing it's because of range.
And I've heard like, you know, all the different like orchestra instruments and stuff. If you go back far enough, they all have like versions where they're all played in different keys. They're all tuned differently and stuff. And then it just like over time it gets smaller, narrows down to what we know as like the instruments that we have today. So yeah, it always happens, and it just makes it easier, I think, to communicate to the same musician, right? Like, oh, you're playing guitar, I'm playing guitar, and we're tuned the same, right? You don't need to be like, oh, are you tuned in, you know, Dagad, or are you tuned in Ebada, you know, or whatever the tuning system is called. It's like, oh, yeah, it's just like, oh, no, this is all standard. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
speaking of James, we did have a podcast with him on. It was a few years back, and he goes into the history of why Canada does a different tuning, and then, you know, everybody else has kind of what we call the standard tuning for ukulele, but Canada's ukulele tuning is a little bit different.
Yeah,
and he goes into the history of that. So we'll put that in the show notes as well.
Super duper interesting. And if you guys are interested in what I was talking about with like slack key and different tunings, there's a guy here in Hawaii that like performs all over the world that is like the master. His name is Makana. So Makana is like, if you guys ever get a chance to see him, he's like, to say that he's the Jake Shimabukuro of like Hawaiian guitar is like an understatement, because he's like transcended a bunch of different levels. His thinking is like at a different plane. Like how when I listen to stuff like to guys like Jacob Collier, it's like this is not from this world. Like Makana is not from this world.
Same,
so if you guys,
same kind of thing. Where he created a bunch of new slack key tunings just for what he was thinking, what he wanted to create.
Amazing. So check him out, Makana.
Yeah, I think he kind of took the, like, you know, the classic slack key taro patch tunings that we had already in Hawaii, and then kind of brought it into like the modern age with like also incorporating like slap guitar and finger style and all these other styles too. So he kind of like incorporates a bunch of stuff with that classic taro patch or like slack key guitar stuff that you would hear around Hawaii anyways.
And I mean, like, because Andy McKee came out like while I was in college, and but I've been watching Makana do like a lot of that stuff from when he was like super young. He was doing like slack key festivals, like, and he came down to Kauai, and I'm like, who is this kid that's just like ripping off on the guitar? And then, you know, years later, I see him again, and he's even better, and it's just just an amazing instrument to follow, instrumentalist to follow. Make sure, I guess he sings too. Musician. Great, amazing musician to check out. If you guys don't know Makana, check out Makana.
I think he's known more for his instrumental work though. Yeah, like he definitely does. If he does a concert, it's gonna be a lot of slack key guitar solos and stuff.
Yeah. All right. So next question.
I guess Renee said, should I be retuning my uke? Am I working harder than I need to?
Using an A-7 tuning.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you don't have to, and that's the thing. Like, you can just play standard. I play standard all the time. It's just that, like, sometimes whenever I get bored, I like change it up a little bit. So if there's, you know, if you're looking for something new, maybe a different sound or a new sound, or just something just to fool around with. Like definitely check out different tunings and alternate tunings and stuff. It's just for fun, Don't even think about like, okay, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna learn these alternate tunings. It's like just tune your ukulele differently. Like just learn how to tune it, and then don't look at anything else and just fool around. Like just see what you can come up with. Like you might like it, you might not. For the most part, start out with the one that I showed you, because that's like super duper easy. Everything is just like a bar. So if you start out with that, play around with it, you're all good.
Yeah. And then sort of some of the limitations about that tuning, or like open tunings, is that you would have to primarily play in that key, and then
you don't have
switching to other keys is a little bit
it is hard. Yeah, it is tricky.
It's like some of the fingerings that you would think is easy before suddenly become harder, right? And then some of the harder
certain
fingerings
ones
become easier. So it's kind of like a trade-off. It always is a trade-off. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that's why, I mean, like, standard tuning allows you to play in pretty much any key. It's not super easy for anything, but it's like relatively easy to play any chord in any key.
It's like
standard tuning.
Yeah, it's easy enough, right? It's like
for everything in general. Whereas like certain tunings are very specific for whatever key and whatever style you're going to be playing.
And if you guys want to experiment, going back to what Kahai was saying, you can just kind of play a chord and you can tune your ukulele to that chord. Like if you want to fool around with an open A tuning, for example, like you can just tune the C string to a C sharp and the G string to an A, and then you'd have like an open A. If you play an F chord, just tune it to this, then tune the G to that, G, so on and so forth. It's a lot of fun.
For one of the song challenges I did, drop F, right?
That's cool.
It's for that Nirvana kind of sounding song that we were supposed to write for, and that I forget what episode that was, but we did a songwriting challenge, and I used drop F.
It's kind of the same thing, like the drop D, right? That's the equivalent of drop D for electric guitar.
Ukulele. Right? Since I was using a low G anyway, it's like it wasn't reentrant. So my lowest note was a G, and then I just drop it to the F, and then you can do the F chord with that open.
And I think too, like if you think you need to retune your ukulele or your instrument to get that slack key sound, slack key guitarists, like they'll play in standard tuning too, and they can still get that slack key sound, what you think is slack key. So standard tuning isn't, it's not like, oh, it's the worst tuning or whatever. You can still get that same thing. It's just like it will probably only apply to certain songs, and for other songs they prefer this tuning or whatever too. So I know, like Ledward, right? Like he plays in standard tuning too, I think. He does slack key in standard tuning. So
So any other questions?
Paul said, how do you tune by ear?
Okay, well, one of your strings have to be in tune. Okay, so like let's just start with that, and then I'll show you how to do it with no strings in tune. So if one of your strings is in tune, let's just say the G string, the top string right here. Everything else is, I'm gonna untune everything here. Do this. That's my sounds so good.
So usually you'll have like a reference note, right?
Yeah.
So either like a piano or like somebody else's guitar, like they know that their string is in tune, so they'll give you that note,
that string. So if you're playing with a piano, just ask them for a G, C, E, A. Then you can use your ear to match whatever string to that note. That's basically how to do it with no string that's in tune. Like tuning by ear just means that you're using your ear instead of a device to dictate if you're in tune or not. Okay, so in this example, my G is already in tune. So if one of my strings is in tune, but the rest of it is just kind of weird, there are some frets that you can use, to use as reference. So the G. So we have G, C, E, A, right? So if we're in G, this is going to be G sharp, and this is going to be A. So this note right here should match the bottom string A. So you use your ear to figure out if this note is higher or lower than this. So this sounds like it's higher. So you want to tune down so that you can match this. When you play it together and it matches, so now you have two strings in tune. Okay.
The G and the A.
Yeah, the G and the A.
Yeah.
So now that the A is in tune with the E, I want to tune the E now. E, this should be F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. So this E string 5th fret should be tuned to this open A. Or if you don't have the A in tune, this fret right here, E, F, F sharp, and G should match this. So you decide if it's, higher or lower. Seems like it's higher, so I'm going to go down. Almost. Close. Too low. So when you play it together, and it sounds like the same note, and then you can use the other string. Still too high. There it is. There it is. So now I have those three, and then E string, so C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E. That should be tuned to. So it seems lower. I go up. And now I'm in tune. I mean, relatively,
Yeah.
I think my strings is slipping a little bit. You know why? Because these are not AG cross AQs. I just because this is my my Bridgewood ukulele, so it's not like that. It's cool in the back and stuff, but in the front is Bridgewood. I just redid the tuners. The tuners, one of them was defective, so I changed it out and changed out my strings. I came to the office. That was the time I went last week, and I was looking for some AG AQ strings, and then but there was other strings in there. I'm like, I'm not gonna use it live anyways, so just put whatever strings, and now it's I should have just used my own strings. Why did I doubt myself?
Yeah.
But yeah, so because we have printouts for your fretboard diagram, what notes are on every fret. So if you know what string is in tune, you can just find notes that are similar on or the same on each string or whatever fret on each string, and then just match those notes. So so I guess which ones did you use?
I use the G string 2nd fret for the A.
For the A.
I use the open string G and then E string 3rd fret to match that, and then an open E and then C string 4th fret to match that.
Yeah,
so that's
so
and then
those are both E notes.
Yeah, you can go either way. You can either use the E to tune this, or you can use this to tune the E.
Yeah, depending on which one you know is correct.
Yeah, but the term tune by ear, or just the term by ear, all it suggests is that you're using your ear to do something. In this sense, you're tuning by ear. So you're using your ear to tune the ukulele to see if it's higher or lower. Yeah, to match the note.
Yeah,
that's really all it is. Or you can take it easy, just use a reference note from a guitar or a piano. That's also tuning by ear, because although you're tuning using a reference note like a guitar or a piano, you're still using your ear to match that note.
It's a very specific case where this would happen, but that is a useful skill, tuning by ear and having that pitch recognition or that relative pitch. It's good because sometimes you might be playing with a pianist or you're playing with an instrument that they can't necessarily change their tuning on the spot, right? Like
Yeah.
pianists can't be like, oh, my piano's a little sharp, I gotta change it. Like, no, that's like a whole day
Tune
operation,
all
right?
188
Yeah.
keys.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. So like, if you're playing in like a band setting, or you're playing with an instrument like that, and the piano is like a little sharp or it's a little flat, instead, like, you can just ask, oh, can you play a C, and you have them play a C, and then you tune your ukulele to that C, and you will be more in tune with. You might not be like, if you use your tuner or whatever, it might say like, oh, you're a couple cents flat, or you're a couple cents sharp, but you will sound better as like a group than what your tuner is saying.
If everybody is tuned to each other together.
Yeah. So it takes a little bit more work. It takes a little practice, but it's definitely like a skill that, I don't know, like, if I'm playing with somebody else, like, I don't know how many times like I'll be like, okay guys, everybody take out your electric tuner, it's just like, oh, are you in tune? Okay, I can tune my instrument to you to make sure that we're synced up together. It's
just relatively in tune. And for those people who have like perfect pitch or whatever, can just tune it without like a reference note. Like the whole thing could be in auto tune, and then like they can just tune it. Like J Mike
they
can,
just
can
they just play the note in their head, and they match to that.
I play that game. I can get pretty close, and not because I have perfect pitch, but because I hear this G note all the time. Like I just know that note, and it's just ingrained in my head and stuff. Like
just that note. But...
just that note. So, but that's all I need. Like I just need
that's
that.
all you need.
Like I can get it. So I think doing that G to the G, and then I can do everything else relatively.
But people with perfect pitch have all the notes, right? They know all the notes.
But that's also like, people think like, oh, if only I had perfect pitch, I could play better, I could do stuff better. But that's also like, I've heard that's also a detriment to some people who they have perfect pitch, but when they hear, if they heard the piano being played, it's not tuned perfectly, they'd have a really hard time detuning their instrument to get it to be,
because
the
know
same.
that it's wrong.
They know what the note, they know what the note's supposed to be. I mean, imagine going to like a fourth grade recital, like with perfect pitch. Just like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here.
I've heard of musicians struggling because they have perfect pitch. So it's a good and bad thing, it's not all that it's cracked up to be.
I always thought about that. I'm like, man, what if there's like a talent show like in school or something, and there's like multiple people like playing on stage, and like you can't expect just even amateurs in general. Now I'm not picking on like high school kids or whatever, but like just amateurs in general. Like it's not going to be perfect. Even some professionals, I should say, it's not going to be all perfectly in tune of all, for all instruments.
Is it going to ruin your experience?
That's got to be like daggers, like to your ear.
And
actually, because like Kyle Ferruccio, we've had him on the podcast, or we've had him on Ukulele Underground before. His wife has perfect pitch.
She does.
And she's also a school teacher, like an elementary school teacher. And so the more that she's been teaching music in school, she said that the more that she's kind of able to let go of that, like, just let it go. Like, it's okay,
Isn't she also like a classical, like an operatic singer?
Yeah. But
and Kyle's told us stories too, right? Like where they'll be in a car and he's like, oh, I like this song or something, and then Emily's like, yeah, but that one note is off. And he's like, what?
More so like if Kyle sings along to the track. We've had Emily on the Friday Jam, I believe, right?
And the podcast too.
That's true.
We'll definitely link it.
But she's told us stories about like there'd be like a weed whacker, somebody mowing their lawn or weed whacking their lawn, and she can identify the pitch of the weed whacker.
That's how Jacob Collier, he said that's how he got so good with. He doesn't have perfect pitch, but he has good relative pitch, and it's because his mom would be like, "Hey, Jacob, what is this? What is the sound the microwave is making?" And he's like, that's like a B flat or something, like when he was really young. And he said his mom wouldn't even care if like that's the real thing. She's just like, oh yeah, that's close because B flat, and F are relative, keys to each other. So yeah, you're kind of close.
Oh wow,
more that like idea too.
Dang.
So he says that all that came from
I have
that.
a mild like relative pitch. Like me and Mike used to play that game. Like what note is that? And we'd like take out like our phones like with the tuner on it and stuff and figure it out, whoever the closest.
Yeah,
it's I can do it like not bad. Like so I can't determine if something's in pitch, but I know what that note is. Like does that make sense? So I don't have perfect pitch, but I have relative pitch. I think what they call it, or relative hearing or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
isn't perfect pitch genetic? Like, there's
is it
genetic predisposition to be more likely to have, right? That perfect pitch is not like it's not 100% determined, but it does play a part.
Yeah, I think you're more likely to have it, but then it's still like a learned skill too.
Yeah, you still have to learn.
Yeah,
because they say that there's people who have perfect pitch, but since they learn based off of a piano that's detuned, their perfect pitch is slightly off.
Ruined it.
To that piano.
yeah. So instead of tuned to 440, they're like 430 or 428 or something.
Yeah, which is useless. No.
Yeah. Well, and they say like that's why they have such problems is because everybody tunes to 440, and then they're like, all of you guys are off. Yeah. It's really kind of hard. Like, and then also like. Yeah,
that's a curse. Be having like perfect 338 pitch.
Yeah.
It also like a lot of times it's based off of Western tuning, the Western tuning system, right, and the Western music system. So if you listen to Asian tuning systems or tuning systems and music systems from other parts of the world, you're probably gonna be like, "Ooh, that sounds so like off and so grating." But it's like to them, they're just like, no, that's a perfectly fine, like whatever minor chord for us, or like major chord for us. Like
they have like half tones and stuff, like with instruments like kotos and shamisens and whatnot. Like it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and in India too, they have like a whole different tuning systems, and they have half notes and things that are just in between. So there's a whole different side of things. Yeah.
All right, next up.
I was gonna so Jim asked, did you guys mention that matching means matching when you're trying to match the two strings together means when played in unison the vibrato between the close frequencies falls to 0. So it just means that if you actually think of a noise or sound, it's a wave, right? It's a sound wave. And then you're trying to match it so the two, when you're playing the two strings, the waves are exactly the same. They line up the same. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Then,
yes. I don't know what to comment. Yes, that is correct.
I was also gonna bring up too, like kind of another step to tuning by ear and stuff. Is like to train my relative pitch, I tune the first note of like the ukulele guitar, I tune G, and then I tune the rest of the notes without playing a string, like without holding the string down. So I just go based off of like it's supposed to be G, C, and I try to hear the interval between the G and the C and get that to match, and then C to E, like without or I tune my guitar like I try to tune all of it and not use a tuner, and then afterwards use a tuner and see like how close or how far I was.
Yeah. That's the best way to do it. I there was a thing that I tried back then when I was like trying to sharpen my relative pitch. There's a thing you can download And I'm not gonna say where I downloaded it because it might not be the most legal way of downloading things. This is, I'm talking like 2010, 2000, maybe even 8. Like it's as far back. And my sister was still alive and she was living with me and stuff. And when I moved back to Kauai and we were roommates, and there was a thing that I downloaded where it would it would play a pitch, and then at the end of like maybe 10 seconds, like playing a certain pitch, it'll say the note, and then like the next pitch,
just like a practice system to help you memorize.
And and they said, like, you can just like go to sleep, and then like the whatever will go in your head. So I would have it on, and my sister would just like drive her crazy. It used to drive her crazy. Like,
but you played it through speakers, not through headphones.
I don't like sleeping with headphones. You guys know this. We've we've toured before, and I have we've shared rooms and stuff. I never have the headphones on whenever I sleep. I always take them off because I don't like things in my ear or on my ear or whatever when I sleep. So like I just had it on, and we were like roommates at the time. She's like, you gotta stop that. So I did it for like a week, and then I stopped doing it, and I just did it when I just like while like cruising online and stuff. That's like when I would have it, and I'm like, okay, cool. So the game would be like, okay, well that's a C, and then they'll say it, and if I'm correct, I'm like, yeah, I'm getting M&M or something. Like, it was a cool, really cool game that I played with myself. But it's a really irritating way to learn relative pitch. If you have, if you have
I'm sure they have apps for that now, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. So it was fun sharpening my skill. Next up.
I think that's it for the question. I was gonna go back to when you're tuning by ear too. Something that you did, and I think a lot of people who tune by ear a lot, or who can tune by ear. After you tune, you play chords, right, to see if like how you tune, if the chords fall right, and it's just like, because even if you tune it correctly, especially if you have older strings, the intonation can be off. So you almost want to like tune it in a specific way. Yeah, you're compensating just to get it to make sure the chords that you play sounds good. So like that's kind of not a surefire, but it's a good way to test, like, oh, did I tune it right, or am I a little off? Is you just play a chord that you know or you're familiar with.
I mean, speaking of tuning, a lot of when I used to go on ukulele ground forums, a lot of people had like different not idea, but opinions on like tuning on stage, like being on stage and like tuning after. I tune after every song, and the reason why I do it is because like Jake tunes after every song. I'm like, dude, if this guy at this caliber playing these big shows can like stop in the middle of his set or between songs and stuff and start tuning his ukulele, like why can't I do it? Like, so, and I would rather spend like like a minute or two tuning my ukulele before each song than like playing that song completely off tune or just slightly off tune, so that the people in the audience, like, who can hear the off tune, like, just start to wince. Like, I'd rather do that. What do you guys think about tuning on stage? You think it's a distraction? You think it's like necessary?
I think you can do it in a way that makes it like not a distraction, right? You just like, especially if you have a tuner that will like shut off your signal to the amp or whatever. That way, like, nobody's hearing you actually pick the strings. Like, it's pretty quiet, and so you're picking and you're looking to see if it's in tune. And then at the same time, if you're supposed to be the one that's talking, you can just start talking about something like, oh, the next song is gonna be this, and you're just tuning it up or whatever. So I think there's a way to make it seem seamless, and I think it's a skill set if you're a live performer, something that you should do. It's like, maybe you might not need to tune after every song, but eventually, like, if you're just playing for a while, your instrument is gonna get warmed up, it's gonna heat up, the strings or whatever, and you're gonna need to retune. It's gonna be off of whatever, starting off cold, right? So it is like something that if you're playing like an hour set or you're playing a few songs, you're probably gonna have to retune at one point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What do you think, Aaron? Do you tune between songs?
No, but then I play it. Usually, I'm playing like a steel string guitar, which
Yeah.
holds
Holds
its tune pretty well. But like you tend to use nylon,
Yeah.
for
And
your
they're pretty
strings.
harsh on the attack too.
And you do a lot of bending, so that it makes
Mhm.
sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially
it's-
after like a song that's like heavy on the
Mm.
bending for
Mhm.
when you pick. Yeah. You gotta-
Yeah, and I don't know, like it's always been kind of an issue with any ukulele. Like I've played many ukuleles, kamakas, kanileas, like kolohas, and they all pretty much do the same thing. There's not one perfect ukulele that just stays in tune after you just rip the crap out of it. Like if you're
until
yeah,
they have what guitar was that had
there's a
an
Gibson,
auto Gibson
yeah,
where
Oh,
Gibson
you
Les
yeah.
just strum
Pauls,
it,
yeah,
you strum it, and then the gears kind of turn.
right.
It was
But I wonder if
really
you can turn it
heavy.
off. Like, does it work automatically? Can you turn it off? Because like, what if you're playing and then like it's just like it's looking for it during the song? Like
No,
it's
no, I
trying to.
think
You can turn it
it's a
off.
thing where you have to press a button or something and then strum all of the strings, and then
Mm.
it'll do its thing, and then after that it's off, right? I think
Yeah,
that's cool.
that's how
That is
how
cool.
it works.
That is cool.
You had to
Let's
turn.
get
You had
that.
to. You had to press it on the headstock, right? Like the button on the headstock or something.
Ah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
strum all the strings, and then each string would individually like know what
Mm.
frequency it's supposed to be
Just-
vibrating at.
That's like some witchcraft, man.
Yeah, it looked like Harry Potter,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
the tuners would actually turn
By
right?
themselves.
Yeah, it's like zzz, 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 and then it's
We'll link
tuned.
it. We'll link to the video because there's a video, right? Like that.
Yeah,
I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were in Nam, and it's one of the Gibson ones, like a Les Paul that had that.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I think it was
and I
like,
guess they're heavy anyway, so it doesn't
yeah.
matter how heavy your
Mm.
your headstock is.
I think at one point Gibson was putting it on like a line of all their guitars, right? Like if you get their
Oh.
custom shop or their whatever, this line of guitars, no matter what style of guitar it would come with those tuners. But then I also think it's like it was a thing where it's people saw that and they're like, oh, it's so cool. And then when they actually used it, like performing musicians were like, oh, like I can tune my guitar faster than this. Like I don't need to check all my strings. I know which string is off and I can tune it faster. It's like,
yeah, just the one.
Yeah, I think it was cool for like beginners, because beginners would be like, oh, don't you hate tuning your guitar every time? But then like seasoned musicians were like, yeah, that's what you gotta do, and it takes me a minute if that to tune it. It's not long at all. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys want to set a new challenge or or announce the winner from the last challenge? We haven't done that yet, right?
Yeah, we should. Yeah. So we only, for the last challenge, we got the one from Hamsini, right?
Yeah.
And then we also got, so she did a great job. Hopefully they put it up in the forum or something so you guys can see it. But then Rob also, he did put his up in the forum, and then his song was about like he made a song about Konokai beer. So
nice.
yeah, he made like a little jingle about beer, and it was
Konokai.
good. I told him it was kind of like your song. Like after hearing it, I was like, oh, I kind of want Kono beer.
Is that the cider ones? Which one is Konokai?
I think so. It's from like so there's the Kona. He was actually I messaged him, and he said that when he wrote that song, he was thinking about the Kona brewing company, but Kona like company, and he tried to fit it in, but it didn't really work, so he just said Konakai. And when he looked it up, it's a beer from like a I think it's Hawaiian brewing company or like another large brewery here in Hawaii. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, let's so are we just giving them both something, or?
Yeah, I think so. We can just send them something. So yeah,
sounds cool. So we'll send both of you guys, Rob and Hamsini. We'll send you guys something for your awesome efforts. All right, so let's set a new one, guys. This time Well, what key did we do? D last time, I believe was D, right?
I think so.
Let's do A this time. We haven't done A in a long time. So key of A, and that's it. You just have to play in the key of A. Let's make it super simple, just A. For extras, help us out. All the live audience people, let us know what you want, and let us know what you guys want to write about. What kind of stuff we could add, and yeah. So you can just write it in A. 4/4, 3/4, whatever you want to do, as long as you're writing a song in the key of A, it should be it. Even if you're just using the A chord and then you're writing your song, that's fine. As long as you write something, like you write a song, it doesn't have to have lyrics in it. It can just be, melody line or some chords even, but it's totally up to you. And at the end of 2 weeks or something, that we show you guys the songs that we come up with, and then to kind of give you guys an idea, and then the week after that, you guys' song or original song is due, and then we usually put in a hat, we pick out a name, and we give a nice little presents to whoever we pick out.
Yeah,
that's it. I mean, it might be something small, might be something large, might be something medium, extra large, right, Kahai? We think we still got more shirts. We could just no. It'd be small, whatever. We just want to reward people who try. Really, that's it. And it might not be a brand new ukulele or whatever, but it's something. It's a small token of our appreciation for you folks who are trying, to kind of get better ukulele, trying to write on your ukulele. But because it's all it's about, man. Just like making music with the uke. Now you know a few chords and stuff. Why don't you make your own song with those few chords that you know? All right, so Kai, do we have any suggestions?
We don't have suggestions, but I was thinking, what if we make so these are suggestions for bonuses for the writing challenge, right? Yeah. So what if we make one of the bonuses to write it in or use slack key tuning? Use alternate tuning.
The alternate tuning. That's a good one. It's a good one. Alternate tuning.
Yeah. And we've been making it like open, so like people can just write a song in the key. As long as they write a song in the key, then they'll be entered in it and stuff. But what if we make one of the optional bonuses like actual chord progression, just so if people like need the help or need ideas for how to write a song, they can that can be a starting point too.
Yeah. How about A, B minor, D, E7. A, B minor, D, E7. That sounds pretty good, right? Yeah. So 1, 2, 4, 5. Yeah, 1, 2, 4, 5.
Okay. Yeah. It's funny because after I said alternate tunings, like the chat is a little bit behind, so Yoda said like alternative tunings too.
Yeah. Any what do you guys want to write about? What's the subject? So if you're writing lyrics, what is the subject that we're writing about? Or what is the one thing that's gonna gonna inspire us? What's the subject? Last one was fun, like the jingle. That was pretty fun. How about, since we did the jingle, why don't we do a because I've been why don't we do like intro songs to like to a TV show, like write a like a what would that, the theme song? Write a theme song. Write a theme song to a pretend TV show or an existing one. It could be there it is. Write a theme song for existing or non-existing TV show. Do it in A. Alternate tuning is is cool too, I guess. All right.
Can
you guys all agree?
Ooh, this is gonna be super challenging, but I kind of want to put it out there.
What's that?
Instead of writing a theme song to an existing show or like a show that you made up, what if they write? We already have this, but what if they write a theme song for the live lesson?
Ooh, okay, all right. And the prize is for a whole month straight. We use their
We'll
theme
use
song.
their theme.
Yeah, in the
Because-
beginning.
Yeah.
They have to sign all these release forms saying that we don't owe, like any kind of royalties though, right?
As you know, as long as it's like appropriate, yeah, I don't see why not. We could try to work it in. Yeah.
The prize is that will be the theme song for this podcast for an entire month. That's 4 episodes, possibly 5. Okay,
so somebody's gonna write like a 9-minute theme song, and we gotta play it every time.
No,
Hey,
well,
we'll manipulate it just to take the last 30 seconds.
or it could be like the Friends song, right? Where it's like, oh, I love the Friends song, and then the band who made it was like, I guess we gotta write like a whole song, we gotta write the rest of the song. We only wrote the beginning part.
Yeah, there you go. Theme song for any existing or non-existing shows, or write a theme song for this show.
Yeah,
that's and like then whatever super bonus. Whatever it is, we'll use it for this show anyway. We don't care if you wrote a show like for a non-existing show, or you're writing about Mandalorian or whatever. We'll still use it for our intro for this show for an entire month. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, start your engines, gentlemen. Oh man, I can't wait.
Okay.
That's the prize.
Yep.
Okay. So so once again, it's in the key of A. If you guys just want to write stuff, if you want suggestions on a chord progression, I suggested A, B minor, D, and E7. So that would be 1, 2, 4, 5 for all of you music theory buffs. And that's really it. You just need to write a song in A. You don't need all these other things, but some extras are lyrics. Write a theme song to a non-existent or existent show or this show, and then another bonus is alternate tunings. That sounds fun. Yeah, do that.
Yeah, a lot of good ideas, like to hopefully get people started.
I know.
Okay.
Someone, someone's gonna write the Kahai fan club song, and that's gonna be the song for like Devin, do it, buddy. Just write Devin. Do it.
Yeah, Devin would do that.
Write the KFC song. Write the KFC song, and it would be obligated to play it every show for a month.
Devin, the only thing is I'm a moderator on the forum, so if your post gets lost, it's like, oops, don't know what happened, just like, yeah.
It's like, oh, sorry, Kahai is sick for like an entire month, so we couldn't do the show for that month that you were supposed to be featured in. But yeah, that's it. Okay, sounds good. Any other businesses before we before we go?
Yeah,
recess.
Lao Gao has like one last question.
Okay.
So he said that he's experimenting and he tuned his low G to F sharp, C sharp, E, A. What chord is his ook tuned to?
F sharp, C sharp, E, A. Let's kind of see here. The C sharp E A is an A chord. Okay, when you add the F sharp, it then turns into an F sharp minor, but then you have that E, so it's basically a, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It would be no, but you have the E. Just like an E, like A/5, or F sharp minor,
or F sharp minor.
Yes, slash
7.
E, with an E. 1, 2. Yeah, 7. F sharp minor 7. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah,
there you go. Open
tuning.
F sharp minor 7.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
That's it. All right, guys. We'll see folks next week. Have a great one. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you folks tomorrow for Aloha Friday Live Jam, or stick around after the show if you're watching lives for the one-on-one coaching. Have a great one, guys. Aloha. Check out ukuleleontheground.com. Peace out.